Today we're making some classic Christmas creations. I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. The first project is a holly deer basket. We're going to start off with some pieces of holly. These are just two pieces that are thrifted. This one is actually a candle ring and they're just kind of plasticky. Not a problem. This is a little deer I've had in my Christmas collection for years. And I'm going to be needing some floral foam. Here is a little basket. It is a very shallow basket. I don't know how to exactly describe it to you, but I thrifted it. And down in the bottom, we're going to be placing our foam. So I'm just going to put these pieces, and I got this these foam pieces are actually some that I've recycled from other arrangements, but you can get them from Dollar Tree in a 4-pack. And I'll just attach those down to this basket with some pipe cleaners. Gonna go right over the top and then just through the weave of the bottom. Y'all have to excuse my voice today. I have been sick. Started off with my son, and then everybody in our family has gotten sick about 4 days into each other's illnesses. So we have not been feeling well, and I still sound rough. Plus, we've had some personal things happen in our family lately, and it's just, I think, allowing the illness to stick with me more than it normally would. So yeah, if y'all could just keep our family in your prayers right now, that would be greatly appreciated. And I will continue on here. So this is some thick double stick mounting tape, and I'm just going to put it over the holes in the bottom and cut some floral pick pieces that were left over. I'm going to cut these on a slant so they almost have like a pointy tip, and we'll use these to attach this little deer down to the foam. I've added a little hot glue on the tip, and then I'm going to push it into the foam. It's going to pierce the foam, and it's going to help it to stick in there. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. You see it's cut at a slant. And then add a little bit of that glue. And I'm going to hold that tape in place when I push, and push right through it. Now, if you don't have a piece that you want to put onto yours that has the holes in the bottom, you could always just wrap a pipe cleaner that is the same color around it to hold it in place, or you could just sit it in the top if you're not going to be moving your arrangement. I've got some leftover foliage from another project. I like the dark green color, and I'm going to use it to cover up the green on the blocks, on these foam blocks. You could always paint the blocks if you wanted to, but these are actually not the right type of blocks for artificial foliage. They're actually more like a wet block that you would use in a live arrangement, and so they peel and flake very easily. And I found the best way to do that is just not to paint them and use pins to attach things down or wrap them. That works best for me. But you do whatever technique that you have used and that has worked for you in the past. And you see he fits nicely down in there. And also add a little hot glue underneath his legs and his body to attach him down. Now this is not resin, this is actually a little ceramic piece, and I did find him at the thrift store. So mainly what you're seeing is going to be thrift store finds for this project. I'm going to take the holly picks and place these around. Now I pulled them all off of that ring, and I just pulled them off into little sections, and thankfully they had nice firm plastic so that they pick straight into the foam without any difficulty. This is another one of those things where if you're not going to be moving this around a lot, this will be perfect because you don't have to worry about anything falling out. You can take your floral picks and put these in here, or you can attach a little of leftover picks from another arrangement, the metal stem part, and use those as picks to put into your foam if you would like to do that. But for me, this process worked, and yeah, it was just really simple to do for this one. Everything's pretty much pre-cut. All I had to do was just pluck it off the ring and just use it in here. So keep in mind when you are out thrifting or you've found a clearance sale someplace, or you're at Dollar Tree, that you can repurpose things. You don't have to use them exactly how it is advertised for them to be used. Use your imagination and think of other ways that you can use them, and go ahead and give it a shot. If it doesn't work for you, pull it out and start over. No problem. Besides, I'm not gluing these in, so, I can pull these out and use these on another project, which is probably what I will do. It's a very cute arrangement, though, and I think it makes a cute little centerpiece, as you can see right through it. So, no obstacles when you're sitting across the table from someone eating. And I will give you a look in just a minute and show you how this is looking so far. And of course, I always like to go a little bit full and overboard with my projects, as it remains budget friendly for me, because so much of what I find is thrifted, and I can easily put the pieces in and take them out and reuse them. And not only that, but I pay such a small amount for them that having multiple uses is really, really a benefit. It really stretches the dollar. This is a thrifted piece of fern pick that I found, and I am just going to cut down the pieces. Now, the actual fern piece are very feathery and light. They are plastic, but they're very thin. But I want to make sure that when I'm cutting these, I leave some of that main branchy piece in there, because that will allow me to actually pick it in if I need to. I don't want to leave any extra little fluff and stuff that I don't have to. So some of these will be the bigger pieces, and I'll leave them on that stem, like I said, because we're going to use that to our benefit, and put it into the foam here and there, mainly on the outsides of it, or toward the outside where the basket edge is, just like this, because it's a flyaway and it's very pretty. And then again on the other side. This is not exactly a symmetrical arrangement, but it's pretty close to it. I'm kind of rather mirroring what's going on each side. Now for these pieces, I'm going to just do the same thing that I was mentioning to you. Grab a pick from something else that you've already used, cut a piece of that off, and use that to pick it down into your floral foam. Because they're so feathery, they're not going to stick in that foam by themselves, so we can build them up just a little. I save these when I pluck flowers off. I like to save the pieces to use again. I just have a big jar, and I have a bunch of these in here. So this, so far, is how it looks. I'm going to add something to the top. You could stop at any point that you would like. These are some picks that I have had for a while, and really, because of the style of them, couldn't quite figure out how I wanted to place them. They look like holly berries, but the leaf itself almost looks like a grapevine leaf, and it wasn't fitting into my idea of, I don't know, the other things that I've already made and decorated. So I decided to go ahead and use it at this point in a little bit different of a way than I would normally use it. And you see, if you have those wiry pieces, you can just make those little tendrils or those little curly pieces, just wind them onto a pencil or screwdriver, whatever you have, if you need to fix those, if they straighten out for some reason. I'll just use a zip tie to attach these, almost like a swag, across each other and slightly to the side. You can put yours in the middle or off to the other side over there, or you could just leave it off completely if you just want more of a rustic look. But for this being winter and also a Christmas idea, I wanted it to be just a bit more festive, and I think that adding these berries to the top will do that. And they look close enough, you can imagine like a holly berry would be, the red color, and they're shiny. So I thought, well, this will work. So this is from Dollar Tree. These are just these little wooden pieces, little cutouts. I'm going to use a damp baby wipe and a little bit of that to make a light stain. If you're wondering, using a damp baby wipe will make it a lighter stain than it would if you painted it on with a brush. And that's the idea that I wanted here. Then you can just build your coverage up between layers and make it as dark as you want. I'm also going to take a little wood round. Now I believe you can get these at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to color this one and let it dry completely. And once both of these pieces are dry, I'll use a little bit of glue. And normally I would tell you, do not use hot glue on top of a piece that you've waxed because it won't stay on, but this is very, very lightweight, and I don't think it's going to be a problem. In fact, this project I actually did a few months ago, and it's still hanging there, still doing what it's supposed to do, so it worked all right in this instance. All right, then I'll just place that right in the middle, and you can always do the back too if it's going to be facing both directions. So far, this is how it looks, and I decided, you know what, to make it a little more rustic and a little more woodland, let's add another element in here. So I've got these, which came out of something I got from Target years ago. It was like a sled, and it had a bunch of different pine cones and ribbon in it. And I saved these little woody branches because they look really good and natural to me in these projects. So I'm just going to add those here and there to complete this project. I want to say thank you to my channel members who make these videos possible. I appreciate you very, very much. The next project is a holly bell wreath. These are little thrifted bells. You can get something, not these, but something similar at Dollar Tree. This is a card from Temu. And there are several vintage looking cards in one pack. This is a oval wood piece. You can probably get something like this at Dollar Tree. In fact, this may be where it came from. I'm going to use some ribbons that look like they could be vintage. The style of it. Some of these glittery and shiny holly branches, thrifted, a little bit of Italian olive spray paint, and some gold glitter spray. But you're welcome to use whatever color you like. Shake, shake, shake. Make sure you shake them very, very well. This came from a friend. Miss Teresa gave me several of these, and she gave me a bunches of things when she was moving so that I could use them in my project. So thank you for that very much. And for the ladies, you know who you are, who always give me wonderful goodies. I'll be using my staple gun, some Chanel stems, pipe cleaners, zip ties, floral wire, whatever you choose. I'm going to use 2 different colors of chalk paint. First, we're going to take this outside and change it from spring to winter appropriate. I'm going to give it some squirts of the green, and then I'm going to give it some squirts of the gold, and I'm going to let it dry outside. We're going to take the tag off of this wooden sign, clean it up, and sand it off. These pieces, and I'm almost definite now that this came from Dollar Tree, thinking about it. They're rough. They're not sanded very well. They have splintery pieces, and I'm always one to just say, let's just a little bit of prevention, right? So I'm going to go all over the edges and the surfaces of my block with my sanding block, just so that we don't get any boo-boos. Okay, so the beveled side's actually going to be the back side in this project, so I'm going to put the beveled side on here, and I'll use my staple gun with some shallow staples to just attach this down and give it a twist so that my little pipe cleaners will stay in place. And that's how we'll attach it to the wreath. I'll just tuck them underneath while I get it painted. I'm going to use the sheepskin or the lighter color on the top first. The reason that I chose these colors is because they match very well with what we have going on in that postcard. And I want the colors to be similar when we make the sign. Rather than using the paintbrush and water technique on here, this is a thick cardstock, so I'm just going to cut it in wavy lines, almost like like it's torn maybe. So I'm just going to use my little detail scissors here to go around and accomplish that look. Just going to wiggle it back and forth over the new outline that I'm going to create. And I want to leave plenty of that background still in there. This is not a fussy cut. This is just more like wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You can see what I'm doing here till I get all the way around it. Then I'm going to use my little finger dauber and some of my wax to go around the edges, because the edges of the cardstock are white and I want to make it look more aged so that it looks vintage and classic. So I'll just go over it with this wax. If you don't have wax, you can use a furniture repair marker. You can use a wash of a dark brown paint, and it will do the same pretty much as this. Now once you have your entire outline gone over, you can wipe it back. I'm going to grab the oatmeal next because it's very similar to what is in the card as well. I'm just dipping into the lid here. This is so thick. And I use chalk paint most of the time, just so y'all know, because it dries very fast and because the coverage is so good. I don't have to do multiple coats, and that helps me save time when I am crafting things to share with y'all, because I put out a lot of content per week. 2 videos a week, if you don't know, if you're new here, Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So yeah, I'm always trying to save you a bit of time. And I like the look of this. This is going to be nice. Now I've chosen the outdoor Mod Podge because it is very, very thick, and it is going to make sure that the card doesn't slip around as it is drying. Make sure that your paint layers are dry first. See how thick this is? I'm trying to show you just how thick and the difference. See that? It's gummy almost. So it works really good for this. Kind of reminds me of when we were kids in school and we used that paste with the brush in the jar. You remember that? Y'all remember that, ladies and gents? I surely do. That stuff was a mess. But it was still a lot cleaner than using glue, which ran over everything and spilled. So I'm going to take that once I've got all across it and all the way around the edges, and I'm going to place it down on my block or my piece of wood here. Press it down with my hands first, and to keep it from sliding, I'll just hold one hand in place while I press down with the other hand. And then I'm going to grab my squeegee. This is a Mod Podge squeegee, and I'm going to go sort of from the inside outward to make sure if there's any lumps and bumps that will be pressed to the outside. It can run from us and come on the outside, then we can clean it up. Okay, so once I've sprayed it, it's subtle, but it's there. You can see the darker green, which I tried to spray mostly over the lighter sections, and then the gold dried right on top of it. Very fine, not anything crazy or over the top. Now we're going to attach the sign down, and we're going to, you remember seeing that kind of viney looking background that this is on? This is going to be wrapped around that, and it's going to hold it in place, and it won't slip around or fall off. I don't want to wrap it around anything that could come off, because the wreath is rather fragile. You know, the pieces will come off individually. You can just glue them back in like I did when I first showed it to you. All right, now once both sides are down, I wanted to show you there's very little fallout from that, which is very good. Then I will take this pick, and I'm just going to pull these all apart. I am almost certain you can find something similar, but not exactly the same, at Dollar Tree. You can just pull off your little pieces, pluck them off of there, and then just start adding those around. Now, I didn't do anything especially fancy for this. I placed the first one down and then thought, let me lay these out to see how many I can fit in here and get them spaced right before I get started, because that's kind of what I normally do, but my head has just not been in the right place lately, and yeah, so just bear with me. You may see some things that you've already seen here, or you know, y'all know how it is. We have those days. We have hard times sometimes. But I'll get back on track, no problem. We'll get back on track, okay? So now I'm just kind of spacing them out. It looks like maybe about 3 inches apart here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I am trying to make those face in a clockwise direction so that they're not just willy-nilly, that they actually have some type of a pattern here. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to just glue the ends, but you can definitely glue more in there if you want to. Luckily, this wreath is so full and has so much foliage that it catches on. Wherever you put the glue, it will catch on to any of it. Okay, so we did sort of the top center, and now I'm going to go to the outside and go in between where each of those are, with those facing slightly outward and upward, until I get all the way around the wreath. Want to take a moment to remind y'all that next month is Subscriber Appreciation Month, where we will be giving away lots of goodies and playing some games and doing that sort of thing. So be sure that once you are subscribed that you hit your notification bell so you don't miss notifications, because if you win, I'll be contacting you under your original comment, and I'll also be commenting, I'll also be sharing that on my community page so that you can see if you are the winner or not. So if you want to play, you've got to make sure that you check back to see if you are the winner. You don't want to miss out on your prize. And besides, when you have, you give back, right? And y'all have gifted me so much with being here and commenting and being part of my channel and supporting me on my journey. And it is definitely the time of year where I want to focus on giving back. Alrighty, so we're going to go to those bells here, and I'm going to use a zip tie to attach them. You could attach them with any way that you want to attach them, but I don't think glue would necessarily work with something like this, but you could try. And then I'm going to use the floral wire and just feed it through there, twist it around a time or two, and then put it aside, and we'll start making the bow. Now this is my own bow maker tool that I used, that I made a couple years ago, and I'm going to be using that to show you how to make a bow. If you would like to know the link, I will try to have that in the description box for you if you want to make your own bow maker. They do come in handy. So I'm just measuring out, and I think I have my bottom layer is 6 inches. So I'll have a tail of 2 feet long off to the side, 6 inches to the left, 6 inches to the right, and then I am going to, it's not a pattern bow, so you don't have to do all the flipping. I'm just trying to follow the direction that the bow wants to lay in. And I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to make the next loop 5 inches so that it is an inch shorter than the one that is before it. You see the difference? I'm going to tuck this through here. Same thing. Inch shorter on this side. We'll do this again, and it is actually going to be a 4-inch loop. And then we'll make one more 4-inch loop on the other side. I should have put the peg on my bow maker so that I could hold my spool in place. I didn't do that because I wasn't trying to copy anyone exactly when, you know, because you can buy a bow maker tool that is, you know, already put together for you. And I'm not trying to copy their work. They work very hard for that. That is patented, and I am not going to copy that. So now I made one final little loop in the center, which is about probably 2 inches long, and that's just going to be the center of the bow. I usually forget to do this part or either just omit it completely. I'm going to use my floral wire, squeeze it tight, and then my other hand to pull it off of the tool. I'll put my wire toward the back, hold my bow in my hand, and then tightly twist that around there. I'm going to pull my bow tails down and then cut them off evenly, and then I can fluff the bow. Now, for these types of bows, I do prefer a wired ribbon. They stand out better, they hold up on their own better, and to me it's just a better look, especially when you're doing something that is more of a classic or traditional look. The bigger bows seem to be the thing, so that is what I want to try to replicate here. I'm going to feed this through the same way, one on the inside, one on the outside of that center vine wreath to hold everything in place. I'll twist that around tightly, and then you can cut the excess off. Then I can get the tails out of the way in the direction I want them to lay and fix my bow. Forever fluffing. I'm forever fluffing. Okay, then I am going to dovetail the ends. You could definitely cut yours at a slant if that is something that you prefer. Remember what I always say to you, that whatever brings you joy is the thing to do. Please, please, please try every day to find some joy in your life. It's so important. Now, if you don't know or feel comfortable doing this with your hand, this is just a piece of PVC, and wrap it to curl it just like you would on a curling iron. And look at that pretty curl. Now for me, because I want long tails and I don't want them to flip out, I will be actually adding a little bit of hot glue to hold them in place. So my bow is a little bit off to the left, and I want the bells to be a little bit in the bottom right side. So I'm attaching those down again to the wreath, pulling those bells down, and then I'm going to make one more little cut with the ribbon. I am going to do 6 inches. I'm just folding it over so I can do 2 dovetails at one time. And I'll cut this at a little dovetail. This ribbon is beautiful. I thrifted it, but you can find traditional ribbon colors and patterns at any craft store. You probably could find them at Walmart, actually. I'm going to use a little piece of floral wire after I've got this folded and pleated, and I will just twist this around and make these little ends, these little tails. It's like a little faux tail. And then I'll add the hot glue onto the metal part of the little twist we made there, and I will just tuck this in to bring a little more of that red coloring down there on the bells. So for the ribbon, I'm trying to put the glue actually on the wired edge rather than on the ribbon so that you don't see it. I'm using the tiniest little smear of glue and holding it in place until it dries. And I'll do the same thing on the other side because I want it to give the illusion of just floating there rather than being out of place. And you see my little ribbon popped up on the side. I had to fix it. I didn't hold it long enough. I'm always refluffing the bows to make sure everything is beautiful and presentable. And then you can hang the wreath by the actual form itself. The vintage Santa sign will be next. I've got my Waverly wax, chippy brush, some little wood pieces from Dollar Tree, some white chalk paint. This is Adirondack white, and a brush, some more of that outdoor Mod Podge, a bottle brush Christmas tree in gold, this lovely little postcard that came from Temu in the same pack as the other one that we used on the wreath, Father Christmas. And then I have some little snowflake ornaments. They are in a gold color. This looks like a little cutting board of some sort, but you can use the same type of round that we used before. I've got some fake snow, and it is a mixture of fake snow and salt. Make sure that whatever you're using is sanded, of course, like I said. Sand it, wipe it down. You're going to paint it white. I'm going to grab some of my antiquing wax, or you can use a brown paint, and I'm going to age these posts. These are going to be almost like fence posts, but they're also going to help us support the postcard, which we're using as a sign. I'm going to quickly wipe off and dry these posts now. They're a little darker. I like the richer color. I'm going to take my finger dauber in that antiquing wax and go all around the edges, as we did with the one that we cut out before. I'm going to go around the edges, and I'm also going to kind of dirty up the edges as well. If you don't have one of these little finger dauber things, you can use like a baby wipe. Just wrap it around the end of your finger. You can see how I'm kind of curving this out to almost give it some shadowing on the edges. You can certainly leave this out if you don't want to do it this way, but I love to give my stuff something that makes it a little bit different and, to make it special, to make it your own, right? Now this is just a dry paper towel, and I'm just wiping off the excess. And then I decided I'm going to do the back also, so I'm going to grab that same brush and the wax and just kind of dirty it up on the back until it is the full coverage that I want. So it looks like this on the front and this on the back. It looks nice and old. I'm going to take that Mod Podge and a big brush here. It's going to hold a lot. Look how thick that is. I am going to brush and sort of stipple this all over. I want the, some of my brushes are so old they're falling apart. I want to make a thick layer on here for our snow. So you can see that I'm kind of popping the brush up and down. It's making little peaks all over here to grab more areas of the snow, so there'll be, rather than one solid flat surface, there will be some peak areas like snow drifts. You can see how that's going to look. Then I'll sit this in a box, because once we put that snow in there, it's going to fall everywhere. It's going to serve more than one purpose. It's going to keep my table clean, and it is also going to allow me to put the excess right back in the bag. I'm just lightly pressing that in, and then I'll turn it over and take the little excess off. Now if these are going to be posts behind, then we need to be able to we need to have a little snow resting on there as well, right? So we're going to put some of that same Mod Podge and a little bit of that snow right on the tip, as if snow is falling on the top. Yes. Let those dry. I'm going to take a little tongue depressor, and really this probably isn't necessary, but I wanted to be sure it was dry so I could continue with the project for y'all. So I just scraped back a little bit of it and added some hot glue in the dry spots to put the tree down. I don't want to showcase the fact that there is a opening in there. You know, I'm trying to cover that fact up. We're using this not as it was intended, but we're using this in a different way. Now I'm just gluing it from underneath. You almost won't even see that little spot there. You could also glue and snow in the bottom of your Christmas tree if you want. I'll add a little bit of hot glue. Same thing here. You don't typically want to put it on wax because it'll pop off. But when you're doing a project that's this small, it doesn't have a lot of weight, you don't have to be concerned about anything necessarily popping off. But that's totally your choice and up to you. I'm putting these not straight to the edge, but a little bit behind. And then I'm just going to pick off the little hot glue that's excess there. You can see that it'll stand up on its own, but I added a little hot glue underneath, nestled it down there, and let it dry. And then I added a snowflake in the top corner of the postcard. I'm going to go behind it with some hot glue and glue this down. This is dried overnight, by the way, so now all of the glue and the snow is dried on there. Then I'm going to take another snowflake and put it at the bottom. It's going to kind of stand in front of the tree and lean up against the post behind it. This is almost like a billboard, I guess you could say. Maybe I should have named it that instead. But this is what we have so far. I love that it has a slight curve. This is the perfect place to add any candle that you have of your choice that is flameless. I think that looks so pretty together. And then if you want to attach something to the tree, just use a little bit of floral wire, and silver is the only one that I had other than green, so we can fix that though. I'm going to take this and make it almost like a bobby pin, so we're going to push it through the center into the back, and now we can put it on the tree and then twist the ends together to hold it in place. And clip the excess off. Press those ends down into the tree so that you don't see them. Once you get it positioned where you like it, you can take a little bit of gold paint that is the color of your ornaments that you're using, and then just go over that piece of floral wire with that paint. You can do 2 coats, but I just did 1. And I'll turn it around and do the back as well, so that you don't see that standing out in the tree, and everything blends in together nicely. Here are our 3 arrangements that we made today. We've got sort of our vintage look here, and this is like a vintage rustic, if you want to call it that. A little different spin, I think, but with the holly, I think it definitely looks vintage. I would love it if you have not already subscribed to subscribe to this channel, and to give me a like if you enjoyed this content, so I'll know to make more. Be sure you hit the subscription bell so you don't miss any new videos or notifications on the community post. Very important to keep up with community posts. I love to chat with you and comment with you down in the comments, so if you have something you'd like to say today, I would love to hear it. I appreciate y'all getting through this video with my crackly, scratchy voice, and for being part of this journey. It has meant so very much to me. This video is in love and memory of my nephew Alex, who passed away very recently. We love you and we miss you. And we'll see you again someday, love. Thank y'all so very much for being here today, and I hope to see you again in a new video very soon. Bye.